What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? My name is Jacemachine. I am fueled by coffee and driven by insanity, and we are back working on my VCX-100 Rebels Ghost ship build. I hope you guys are doing good. I am doing great today. My throat's a little sore, so I don't know that I'm going to be talking this entire time, but I'd like to at least set the video up and talk about what's going on. The angles were probably the most difficult part, getting those right on the side, on the four corners. And a lot of this video concerns itself with the bottom half of the rear portion. And I'm not exactly happy with the way it came out in this video, and it's something that I ended up working on a little bit later on. And I think I'm much happier with the way that it turns out, but it's really tough sometimes when you're adapting something and you're trying to match an angle of how something is, but because it's StarMade, you're limited and you can only bend the pieces in so many ways. And that's not a complaint. I mean, that's just working with the palette you've got. So, you know, if you choose to build something that's difficult to do, I mean, that's your own damn fault. So I think it came out really well. I'm really happy with the way this ship is turning out. I have a little cheat sheet that I use. I've drawn it out on graph paper. I used a really small graph paper so you can have a pretty good scale for things that you've drawn. And what I've done is I've basically made stepped pyramids where each step is only one block thick, but the distance between the steps, the rise itself, changes from 1 to 2 to 3, 4, all the way up to 9. Which is where I've stopped. And basically what I took then is a protractor and a ruler, and I figured out the exact angle of each of these, and I labeled them down. So it starts off as a 45-degree angle, and it jumps up immediately to a 65-degree angle, 73, 77, 80, and then once it gets past 80, you're dealing with like 7, 8, and 9, and beyond that, the degrees actually are very, very minute at that point. And what I do is I use this little cheat sheet, and when I was looking at the Ghost, I was looking at like what's the angle that the silhouette makes, you know, and I try to make my best judgment calls based on the angles that I'm able to work with within StarMade. And sometimes something that I've planned, I end up having to change. Like I think I end up tweaking, you know, this back portion a good bit, or I change the distance, you know, after I've tried it out on the actual ship. You know, just because when you're actually working with the ship or the piece of art or whatever it is, some of the techniques that you start off with don't necessarily work quite well, or what you planned don't actually work as well as you hoped. Taking it from paper and putting it into 3 dimensions. Again, if you watch the first episode, I explained that I do a lot of my stuff on graph paper, and I really enjoy, you know, just working out things on paper first. I'm an artist in real life, and so I guess that's where my mind goes. Logically, it's better for me to visualize something if I can actually see it. Some people are able to just build right off the top of their heads, and they are very skilled individuals, and I admire them greatly. But I learn best by looking at something and trying to draw it out, and I guess that's how I've learned to build ships in this game in general. If you look back through the seasons, my ships have been a variety, varying quality, we shall just say, and you know, I've come up with much more, like, you know, more distinct looking ships, stuff that is a little bit more difficult, like the newer Cylon Raider from the Reimagined series, for example. You know, getting the angles right are really important with ships like that, and unless you try to do it, you know, you don't really get the skill needed to work with them. And so when you start off in the game, I know I'm just rambling, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? When you start off in the game, you tend to do more blocky ships. You know, you think of terms of boxes, and you know, as you progress through the game, when you are making a replica ship specifically, it forces you to make design choices that you yourself may have avoided as a builder because it was tough. When you make a replica ship, it forces you to try your best to represent a shape that, again, may not be necessarily possible within the StarMade toolbox, you know? And so it forces you to be creative, but it also forces you to try new things. And then once you've done that a few times, you've technically added it to your repertoire. You know what I mean? You've added it to your own personal toolbox, so that when you go to build ships later on, you've done this hard thing once already. And either it helps you when you're building a replica ship down the road, or it helps you, you mix and match these things that you've done, and you're able to build something, original. Someone once said, originality is the art of concealing one's sources. And, as an artist, I'm only as good as what I can come up with creatively, and you've got to look at everything as and blend it together and sort of take things that you like here and there. And, the same thing works with a lot of spaceships, original designs. I don't do so many of them because I still take great pride. I enjoy the replica building mostly. But I build interesting looking, a lot of my salvagers are original. Other stuff I've drawn out on paper and things like that. And I think those have really come along. So I don't know. You get different enjoyment from different processes of shipbuilding. Raven, he says one of the main important things when you're building ships, and if you're not working from paper like me, or maybe you are working from paper like me, I think this actually still applies, but getting like an understanding of the body of the ship and having maybe a few different body types that you go to normally, like how do you construct the fuselage, how do you construct the cockpit, do you do the same types of cockpits all the time? Again, it's working with the palette and having these ideas, and you just got to be able to just have a chance to practice a lot of these things and try these shapes out and see where you can put stuff. Another thing that I do when I'm building ships, and you've probably noticed it while I've been building, is I do a lot of cleanup while I'm building the ship. I know for a fact that I'm going to replace something, so make sure that I kind of do that along the way. I want to take out as many extra blocks that I don't need, because we're worried about how the ship is going to function in space. You don't need all that extra mass. So, if something's decorative, I'll leave things that are decorative all the time, but I have to make up for that by taking out extra hull in an area that you wouldn't necessarily see. And if one block does the trick, then you don't need those 3 extra blocks that you may have forgotten from when you were first setting up the main frame of whatever ship you're doing. So. Now, I know a lot of what I'm saying here is not probably synced up with the video, and I'm not talking about what is happening on purpose because of the way that it just turns out, but I've gotten a lot better at running power strips and power lines. I understand the principles a little bit better. I don't always make the most efficient ones, but I try to make sure that you get your power lines running the distance of your ship, basically. Can you fill from top to bottom? Can you work a power line? From front to back, can you work a power line? And I know there's definitely a more elegant way of describing it, but I'm still just really getting my understanding of it necessarily. Just kind of sad to say, because there's people who've understood it. It's like an elementary part of StarMade, but I've only recently really sort of gotten my teeth into it. And for me, I enjoy this whole learning process of trying to get things right. And some of the concepts you think are harder than they really are, and they're really not. This game seems like it has a steep learning curve sometime. To new players, you come in, you're dropped outside of a starter station, you're given a few blocks, you go out to another sector, and you're immediately creamed by pirates, and you don't know what you need to do to stop that. So, I mean, there's just different things. There's easy things you can do to fix that, like get a radar jammer. It's a single block, you put it on your ship, you use it, and it'll keep pirates off your butt for at least 80% of the situations that happen, unless you just fly right into a middle of a group of them or something. So anyway, I suspect that I'm running out of time. I hope you guys are doing well. I will talk to you later. If you are new around here, be sure to check out my Star Squadron series, the new season, season 3, year 3 just started. We're running storylines basically again, similar to what we did last season, but hopefully these will play out a little bit better. And check out my playlists of other stuff if you're interested in seeing what I've played. And be sure you're subscribed. That's all I'm going to say about that. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments section below. That's what it's there for. Leave me a like if you don't have time to leave a comment. I love you guys. I hope to see you guys here next time.